Hi, and welcome to Homestead Diary. This is Amber. I just wanted to show you a little bit about what we're doing with the charcoal again. So when we do have an opportunity like the 4th of July, we had a big fire, we had the hose, we're spraying everything down constantly. You move the big logs and the bigger pieces of wood off to the side. You wet the area where the charcoal is laying down, and then you keep doing that until it gets smaller and smaller. And of course, as the fire is going initially, you want to burn off all any of the cardboard and the small little tiny pieces. They end up just kind of going away in order to be able to get the bigger pieces into charcoal. But we didn't have a huge amount of wood. We probably had, I don't know, 5 small trees, you know what I mean? Not even trees, they're like bushes, because they were mainly evergreens, and so they have a lot of those needles that just like burn up really quick because of the resins in the trees. And so we anyways burnt those down, sprayed it down, and then kept moving it over into the corner. So what you can see here is this is me trying to collect it now up, and then as we kept moving it, we moved it over to a pile over here and added the last little bits of wood and the last little pieces. There's some that fell out over the side here, which at night we didn't see. And then you turn around and you pull it again over to another area. And then when you're ready to go to bed and you think things are mainly soaked down, you put it out, and there's going to be a couple of little pieces that didn't get burned. But the majority of it got soaked down. You can see the chickens have even been through it and kind of scratched it up over the last couple of days. And so now I'm actually collecting it, and now we take it from charcoal to biochar. So to get it to biochar, I'm going to put it in a bin that I have as my compost tea, and you put the charcoal in the bottom, then you put whatever you want as layers up on top in order to try to promote the microorganisms, to break it down, and the nutrients to be basically absorbed by the charcoal. The charcoal will slurp up all of those nutrients, all of those nitrogen, phosphorus, magnesium. They'll basically use it all up, soak it all up, and then they'll release it to the plants as the plants need it. And it gives the plants just so much more nutrients. And the first time I put a lot of my acidic stuff with it. So I put a lot of my orange rinds that the chickens don't like, and I put anything that I would consider acidic. If I have some old pickles or things like that the chickens might eat, but is a little bit more acidic, that kind of like balances out the charcoal. It's very alkaline, and some of your plants might not love really extremely alkaline soils, and so it just gives you another outlet for things that aren't going to be used as efficiently as they could be. So that's where I put mine, and my garden seems to say that it loves biochar. So I'm actually taking so I did a first batch of biochar in my lettuces and those areas, and they turned out amazing. And so then I had my worm tea, or my worm bin that had my compost tea. I was taking the liquid off of it and watering other areas, including in my greenhouse where I had all my seed starts, which some people say that seeds have enough nutrients in it that it doesn't need any, but I found that, at least initially, that they do much better. They're much more hardy, and they are better, easier to transplant, and then they just have everything that they possibly could imagine that they needed in order to grow in the garden. And my garden is, I think, pretty fantastic for a first year garden. We started seeds maybe in March, I believe it was, the end of March, and into April they were ready to start transplanting, but it was still cold season, so they kept growing and growing and growing. And so then they were like really dense, and so then we finally started like breaking them up and actually transplanting them outside bed by bed as we made the beds, because we didn't have any beds after my husband did the fencing. So at this point, we are taking now the compost tea biochar, and we've put it into buckets, and we're using that around the garden now in supplemental areas, the strawberries, the new squash and cucumber from our first harvest. So I'm reseeding my next batch from my first batch of seeds, which is great because then it's more acclimatized to your region, and it takes about 3 growings and seeding and growing the seeds, and then getting 3 times in order for it to be properly acclimatized to your area and your bioregion. And so we're doing that. But then now I'm starting, now my warm bin, my compost tea bin is empty. We got new charcoal. We're going to inoculate, make it into biochar, and use the compost tea as it's breaking down. It has excess nutrients, and continue to add to it. And then we'll take and use that in more future beds or the trees or whatever else we might need, because we're constantly replanting stuff. We're going to have fall gardens and stuff like that. The people that rent here will have fall gardens, because we are definitely looking at this as a community, and so people will be renting this this space, and we will be in and out as managers, and so we just want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to grow and has a stable food source, because we wouldn't ever want to put anyone into our spaces and not have a viable source of food or way of making food. So in the coming days, that is going to be necessary. So yay! Well, we hope you have a blessed day, and I'll do another video as I start doing the layers in the compost tea / biochar bin. Thanks for watching.